This is the brand new Sonoflex microphone from CloudVocal. It's a very clever clip-on microphone for your saxophone, and yes, it is very small, but it's also possibly the last microphone you ever need to own. I'll tell you a bit more about that in a second. But first of all, I just wanted to show you this microphone today because microphones are a hot topic amongst our thousands of students learning with us at Sax School. Because they're adults, they're learning saxophone, and most of them are recording themselves because that's a great way to improve your playing, right? But they're also using microphones because they're going out and playing in pub bands or in community bands or doing solo gigs or even making videos that they're sharing on YouTube, building up their YouTube channels and their Instagram. So a microphone is a very important piece of kit for all of us saxophone players to have. But should you go for a wireless one or a wired one or a studio microphone, there's just too many options. I'm hopefully going to make that a lot easier for you today. But first of all, let's have a listen to how this Sonoflex mic sounds. Now, Fred, one of our Sax School tutors, has just come back from touring with Average White Band, where he uses a really fancy clip-on microphone. It's a Neumann MCN 114. It's about $600+. It's very expensive. So what I asked him to do was to clip that on his saxophone and this new Sonoflex, and let's have a listen to how they compare side by side. Okay, now I know a lot of you are going to be tempted to say the Neumann sounded way better than the Sonoflex, probably because you're looking at the price. But I'll be honest with you, in the studio listening to the proper high quality audio files, it's almost impossible to tell the difference between those two microphones. And Fred, listening in his studio, said exactly the same thing. So I know it's tricky when you're listening through YouTube to hear any difference at all, but please take it from me, they actually sound very, very similar. And if you were doing a blind test and I hadn't shown you the price or the names of those microphones, you'd probably find it impossible to pick between the two of them. That's very interesting. One thing I did notice though, is that on the Neumann microphone, the more expensive one, I could actually hear quite a lot more key noise than on the Sonoflex. Now, that's quite interesting. If you're new to the whole clip-on microphone thing for a saxophone, then key noise is a real issue because when the mic is attached to the instrument, a lot of vibrations can come through the saxophone and into the microphone, and you get lots of clicking and clacking sounds. So different microphone manufacturers combat this in various different ways. So you can see on the Sonoflex there's a little rubbery end on it. My microphone of choice for years has been this one, which is a more expensive AMT microphone, and you can see there's a sort of really complicated ring and rubber band system in there to try and combat the key noise, and even that doesn't quite sort it out. So anyway, well done to Sonoflex for using a simple solution and avoiding a lot of the key noise. Not entirely though, and that's one of the things that, you know, if I had to be negative about anything, it would be that it's not entirely key noise free. Maybe that's just a holy grail. So the Sonoflex is a condenser microphone with a cardioid pattern. If you're new to microphones, that probably sounds like complete gobbledygook. So let's take a quick 20-second break and talk about the different types of microphones. Okay kids, there's three main types of microphones that you most commonly see. There's dynamic microphones like this trusty Shure SM58. You've heard this on a million recordings actually, seen it in a million pubs around the world. It's dependable, it's sturdy, unbreakable almost, and they sound pretty good. They're alright for saxophone actually if you've got them on a microphone stand, but they're too heavy to attach to your saxophone, so that's why you mostly see them on a stand. So that's a dynamic microphone. The next is the condenser microphone that we're talking about today. So the Sonoflex is a condenser microphone. It's much smaller, but it does need power. So we use what we call phantom power, which most mixing desks or PA systems actually provide. So the power comes down the cable or back up the cable to the microphone to help boost the signal. So that's a condenser microphone. Now the third type of microphone that you'll see are your studio microphones, Now, these traditionally were ribbon microphones, which are super expensive but sound lovely and are very fragile. Or most commonly now you see studio condenser or large condenser microphones like this Rode NT1A. I've got a couple of other ones here in the studio too. These are great, pretty dependable. They're getting more affordable these days, but they're a bit big and cumbersome and probably a bit fragile, I don't know, for taking around to gigs. So this is the sort of thing that would stay at home or in your studio. So the most common one of these obviously is going to be the condenser microphone for attaching to our saxophone, and that's why most clip-on microphones are in that format. Okay, let's get back to it. So now you know about microphones, let's have a talk about this one. So the things I really like about this Sonoflex microphone is that it is a clip-on mic, but it is also a microphone that you can use as a wired mic in your studio, and that's really, really important because sometimes you don't need to be wireless and sometimes you do, so it's good to have the option. So the magic behind the Sonoflex is basically that it's very modular. So you've got the main microphone part, and then you've got various different attachments that you can use to attach to your saxophone or to any other instrument. So the clip for the bell is really simple. There's no moving parts, just some flex in it. And there's a very clever locking system that locks the microphone onto the clip with just a quarter turn. The clip goes so easily onto the bell of any alto or tenor sax. You could use it on a soprano as well. And then you've got this flexible gooseneck to position the microphone in just the right place. Now I mentioned that this microphone is wired or it's wireless. So let's start with a wired connection, and that's what Fred was using in the recording today. So the Sonoflex comes with a cable that connects to the microphone and gives you an XLR output on the other end, which is a professional quality connection that you use to go into most mixing desks and also these days into most PAs. Now I mentioned that lots of our Sax School members are out playing gigs, and loads of them are doing solo gigs where it's just them and a PA and backing tracks. And this XLR connection is exactly what you're looking for to either go into an effects pedal or literally straight into the back of your speaker. So one end of the cable goes directly into the microphone, the other end goes straight into your PA or your mixing desk, and then you're ready to go. And it's got a really long cable as well. I mean, goodness me, how long is that? Nearly 4 meters of cable. So you've got tons of reach there. In my studio here, I could really easily just use the wired connection and have quite a lot of movement inside the room while I'm playing and recording. Now that wired connection is great because in the studio setting like this, well, you've got a solid connection, there's no fuss, it's going to sound great as well. But you could also use that in lots of small performing situations where you're not very far from your speaker and you don't have to go and walk around into the audience or anything. And actually, it means you don't have to worry about batteries running out or range or getting interference on the connection or anything like that. But what about if you do want a wireless connection? Well, this is really cool. Now, I think CloudVocal have been very clever with the Sonoflex because rather than only bundling it with a wireless system, it lets you bundle the microphone with the cable that suits your wireless system. So you could choose a wireless system, or maybe you already have one, and then you can just get the connector that goes between the mic and the system. So for example, I like to use this Sennheiser wireless system. It's really compact. I think it sounds great. The batteries last really well on it. So I have got the cable here that goes between my wireless system and the microphone. So that means now I can clip this onto my saxophone, pop the wireless system in my pocket, and I'm free to walk anywhere in my room. Now, the really cool thing about the Sonoflex mic is that you can get clips for all sorts of different instruments. So for us saxophone players, well, we've got the one for a saxophone, but you can also get this strap, which you use on a flute. So it's pretty cool. Let me show you how it works. The strap literally just goes around like this. Oh, I'll do it this way. And strap it on. Then your microphone, literally, you clip it off the saxophone one, and you literally just clip it onto the flute one, and then you're ready to go with your flute. In fact, you could probably use this strap to attach to all sorts of things. What about my didgeridoo? Let's try. The CloudVocal Sonoflex is around $330. just with the microphone and the XLR cable connector, or around $360 to bundle it with the cable for your wireless system. Now, I'll be honest, I'm struggling to find anything I don't like about this microphone, apart from the little bit of key noise that I mentioned earlier on. But like I said, it's far better on this microphone, surprisingly, than microphones that are 2 or 3 times the price. What I really like about this though is the compact nature of it and the sturdiness of it and the flexibility, because I really do believe that it's great if you can find one microphone that is your only microphone that you ever use. Why not? If you like the sound of it, you know how to use it, and it can serve you on a gig, in a wireless situation, or in a wired situation, then I think that's fantastic. You could throw this in your saxophone case and it could be a piece of kit that stays with you for years. But what do you think about the sound of it? I'd love to know in the comments down below if you've tried this microphone or any of the other CloudVocal microphones, and what you think about the sound of it. By the way, there is a link down below if you want to go find out more about it. But next, go check out this video because this is one that's really helped a lot of our viewers.